Good afternoon. This is Neil Pierce with the Capgemini, representing the Outreach and Growth Program for the DIR Shared Technology Services. Today, we're very excited to present print mail services. We could go ahead to the next slide. Let's see if I can. There we go. Today's agenda, we do have John Heatley from Xerox, who is our service component provider for print mail and image delivery services. And you can see that the title is changing a little bit to complete that secure document print mail and image delivery services. So you hear a little bit more about the explanation of that. John's going to spend about 30 minutes talking about the services and the options and the processes regarding this service. And then we have a customer experience. Hopefully we have a customer experience to share.
Yeah, Roman just came in the chat saying he's on.
Excellent. Thank you.
He said
Roman,
he's been on, actually. I don't know what.
Okay. Great. Welcome, Roman. Can you hear us? And can we hear you?
And Roman, you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, that's it. Roman Villarreal.
Hello?
From the Office Attorney General. We can hear you, Roman. Roman is the Contracts Administration Manager there at the Office Attorney General, a Child Support Division. I'll help you out with a little bit of the service offering request, interagency contracts, interlocal contracts, and we'll talk about the featured service offering of the month, what's coming here in the future, and Carrie will wrap it up with the email subscription. Do we need to get Roman's audio going again?
I'm not sure if he knew we could hear him. So, Roman,
Okay.
We did hear you. So
I don't think he can hear us.
Okay.
How about now, guys?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Roman, perhaps you could, I don't think you can hear us, can he? Oh, you can hear. Okay, great. Well, then I think we're good. Carrie, let's start the presentation. John Heatley, let me do a long introduction here for John, simply because I think Xerox has been here one of the longest since 2007, right, John?
That's correct. I've been on the project prior to that. So I was part of the IBM team that was involved in the pre-sale for 2007. So I started in November of 06 on this.
Well, that's what I meant. It's one of the longest tenured people part of Shared Technology Services. Back then it was called Data Center Services, and we still have that portion of a program that includes the print mail business. But John, we appreciate you today coming on board to talk about print mail services and explaining how this is changing into digitization services.
Very good. And again, the new moniker for our area of service is print mail and digitization. The secure print mail in imaging was the way we tried to brand ourselves before, to try to describe what the kind of services that we provide. Just in high level, we've been in the program since the beginning in 2007. We produce on a monthly basis around 2 million digital images that we deliver into customer repositories on a monthly basis. Now, this number has fluctuated quite a bit in the time of the COVID virus. For 1 month alone for Texas Workforce Commission, we delivered over 20 million images into their FileNet repository. So we had to scale our service up dramatically in order to be able to support the increased workload there, in order to be able to, to meet the demands of the citizens of the state as unemployment exploded. On a normal year, we'll print 384 million print pages. We are in a scenario this year where we expect that we're going to be well over 550 million print pages, again, due mainly to the volume demands from COVID. Mail pieces, 57 million mail pieces per year. We're thinking we may, in fact, get closer to 100 million mail pieces this year, again, driven by the COVID volume. We do offer services in the digital world, such as we allow for online document review. One of the agencies that we do this for is the Child Support Division that Roman is part of. Each day we provide them back a PDF file that has the first occurrence of each letter that was generated in the prior night's run, so that they're able to go and improve those letters to make sure that they are as expected and that the content of the letters is correct. So that's a service that we can implement as part of the normal workflow that we provide to agencies. We do processing of outbound mail, USPS mail. We talked about all the letters, but we also do accountable mail packages. We do sometimes the mail-outs are large enough they go in boxes, envelopes, just depending on what the customer requires. We have very good track record, exceptional track record actually, regarding PII protection and security. We do track every piece of paper that comes through our shop. On a normal day, we're dealing with in the neighborhood of 60,000 individual pieces of paper or 120,000 print images that come through the shop. And our shop is also fully tested for disaster recovery. We run a redundant system up at a location in Philadelphia with a company called MailGuard. Those of you that are in the IT business know of companies like SunGuard. MailGuard is the equivalent of that on the print and mail side. We actually have servers resident there and telecommunications connections in place from both the Austin data center and the San Angelo data center so that we can diversely route. Every job that comes into our shop to print is replicated to our disaster recovery platform so that in the event of an outage, the data that is required in order to start from that point forward is there at the center waiting for us. We also have pre-staged forms and envelopes up there so that we can begin processing in a very quick manner. We have a normal recovery time of 72 hours. However, we do have an optional service that if pre-set up can be implemented in as quick as 4 business hours. And by the way, that's the standard that we have for the Child Support Division, for example. Next slide. So what is the value proposition for print, mail, and digitization service? First off, we are a cost-effective solution where we run a leveraged center that supports the needs of all of the agencies that are part of the DCS STS program. We are offering new digital services. The service model evolves over time. So as we venture into the new contract, we are going to be providing a price times volume type of a pricing scenario so that there is no base charges. Everything is predicated on what is consumed for that. And we have capacity fluctuation in our shop, and also as part of our service offering, we have partners that we work with that are approved, certified by the program that we can expand into. This is very important when you reach a scenario like we had with COVID or we've had with Hurricane Harvey and others, where we've had to almost instantaneously have to expand what we're producing exponentially. So for TWC, for example, Workforce Commission, we saw volumes that were as much as 15 times a normal daily volume that came in virtually without notice, and we had to expand to do that. Fortunately, we planned ahead, and we knew what the potentials were from the virus that was happening. We also monitor hurricanes, and we stay very close to emergency declarations that are coming out in order to be able to start working with our partners to do 2 things. One, to ensure that we've got capacity available to us, and then we try to free up capacity in our production center at the ADC where we can be much more nimble and fast to be able to produce work. So we've got choice. We've got any form of digital media that you want to produce, we have the capability of doing. And again, the pricing that we do is competitive with the marketplace for all of the services that we have built into our model. Now, the new contract that we're moving to on 9/1 actually has tiered pricing based on level of service required. So it gives the customer the ability to decide if they want to pay a little bit more to get something turned fast, or if they have a little bit more time, we are able to lower the price in order to be able to, to incent and to be able to pace work out over, a 7 by 24 hour period.
John, I failed to while Carrie was off trying to contact Roman. I wanted to make sure that people can join in with questions. You can write there. Carrie, is there any instructions as far as waving their hand or writing?
Sure. So you have a few options, those of you who are listening. We do have a couple of call-in users. So if you are only on the phone, you can hit a *6 to unmute yourself on your phone, but remember you may be double muted on your phone as well. For those of you who have joined us by the computer, you can put your questions into the chat. There is a to function there which will let you send them to everyone, or if you prefer, you can send them just to me, Carrie, your host, and then we will read those questions out as they come in.
Thank you. Please continue, John.
Okay. Go to the next slide. So from a high level, the services that are being offered through the print, mail, and digitization service, we do offer high-speed black and white and color printing. We have a fleet of printers that run anywhere from 3,000 images per minute all the way up to, actually that's the high end. We also have full color printers in what we call marketing color, which is the high quality color that you would expect on marketing materials, or business color, which is a lower resolution color process that produces very nice color, but it's very similar to what you would see like on your Home Depot credit card bill or something of that sort. So a full range of that type of equipment is in the shop, as well as with our partner locations. We run roll and cut sheets. We print on a very wide myriad of substrates. Those of you that get original automobile titles, those come from us. We print on those very fancy forms, which are printed on paper that are similar paper to what you would see if you had a euro, a European dollar in your hand. We also print on the window stickers for the automobile registration, so we can handle a wide variety of different types of substrates. We do digital document delivery. I spoke about this a little earlier, but these are documents that come into us from processes, be the mainframe or server. They come into our system. We have predefined which of these documents need to go into an agency repository. That's the key to the digital document. It's returned to the agency, and we will send it back to you with indexes and tags inside of that data so that we're able to push it into your repository. In the case of Workforce Commission, we push it into a FileNet repository. We do court filings for child support that we put into a watched folder, and they pull those out and distribute them to county clerks. So those are the kind of documents that are part of the digital document delivery service that we provide. We do high volume automated mail insertion, and the key here is that we do verify and track every piece of paper that goes into every envelope that we mail. In order to be PHI and PII compliant, you've got to be able to have a record and an audit trail for every piece of paper that you've handled, and that's part of our process. And again, we're handling 60 to 100 million envelopes per year that have to be perfect every time. So that's the standard that we operate under. The digital document management system is a new product coming out on 9/1 as part of the new contract that comes in place at that time. This leverages a product called DocuShare, which is a Xerox software product, and it allows you to take documents that would formerly be delivered via courier. So these are the same kind of digital documents that produce off of servers and mainframes that come into our world, into our Nearstar system. We will then tag those documents, send them through an API into this DocuShare system that end users will access in order to be able to view those documents or print those documents locally, depending on what business rules or business requirements the specific agency has. Those documents will be put into what we call a collection, which is a secured folder, if you will, inside of our system that only those users that are authorized to view those documents will be able to see. This is a tool that would have been very, very helpful during some of the lockdowns that we've had. and we think that it's going to be very useful at reducing courier deliveries, which are expensive because the cost to put paper on the road is not inexpensive, and allow people to get a hold of their documents in a much quicker format than having to wait for a courier delivery. With the more advanced services that we have, we also do very basic services, which is procurement of envelopes and forms. Although it's a basic service, it's a major money saver for the state. What we do with this program is we aggregate the purchasing that we do for every agency in order that all agencies can get the volume pricing. So if you're ordering smaller quantities of envelopes, you'll get the same pricing power that all the agencies will get together. And give you an indication, we're ordering over 70 million envelopes per year through this program right now for the state. So we are driving very low price points for the forms and envelopes. And lastly, the most expensive part of any print-to-mail operation is actually postage dollars. And we work with Pitney Bowes Presort and a new partner we're bringing in called Royal Alliances to be able to provide the maximum amount of postage discounts available for the agency when they mail out their items. So whatever your mail qualifies at, we commingle it together to get the most aggressive pricing possible for the volume that produces on a daily basis for all agencies. And then underneath it, we've got the program management operations, my teams that do the actual day-to-day operations. Next slide. And if there's any questions, please let me know. This is a high-level schematic of the way that we do our business. Basically, the heart of what we do is a document management platform from a software company out of the Dallas area called Nearstar. So every document that we get comes in through Nearstar. Nearstar inventories the document, and it determines whether or not it's a print-to-mail, print-to-deliver, or a image-only document. And if based on that determination, it marks the documents as needed, either by putting a barcode, building mail tracking files, or indexing the document for placement into a file management system like DocuShare or like an agency FileNet. So that those workflows get invoked and the work flows through our process, either goes out in the mail as required or becomes image delivered as needed. And then behind the scenes, we're collecting processing data on all of that so that we're able to provide automated uploads into ServiceNow for SLA reporting, chargeback, and other agency-required reporting that we produce on a daily basis.
We did get our first question, John, which is you mentioned Pitney Bowes and how you work directly with them. If it's for postage, can we go directly to this contract, or is Pitney a subcontractor?
Well, Pitney is a subcontractor of ours. So when I talk about Pitney Bowes, I'm talking about Pitney Bowes Presort. So when we deal with them, we are providing them documents that we're inserting in our shop, and that they're billing us back through our Xerox contract with Pitney Bowes Presort. So any of the mail that goes to them for pre-sorting comes through Xerox. Now, I'm not certain if there isn't a cooperative contract on file with DIR that may be able to allow you to contract directly with Pitney Bowes. But ours is all associated with the printing and insertion service that we provide.
Okay, thanks. If there are follow-up questions to that question, you can also ping them to me. And again, if anyone else has questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. Thanks, John.
Certainly. I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, so from integrated services, we've talked through some of this already, but we do automate manual work processes as much as possible. So our whole concept is we have a document factory that's been geared to 3 workflows: print to mail, print to deliver, and digital image. And we take whatever data the agency produces through their systems, and there's a myriad of different types of data that have been programmed and coded over the years, and we make it compatible on our systems to our print factory. So we'll add the barcodes, we'll build the tracking files, we place banner pages, we inventory contents, we tell you how many envelopes are in the run that we get from you. In some cases, for example, for the Department of Insurance, One of the applications that they have produces 1,000 letters, which is 1,000 different individual PDFs. What we do with that is we bring that into Nearstar and we aggregate that together into a single mailing, barcode all of it, so that instead of having to process 1,000 one PDF letter, we have a single job that has all 1,000 in it. It makes it much more efficient to run through our factory. The bigger the jobs, the more optimized they can be for our factory. So we do try to take small jobs, aggregate them together to an optimal size, and process them through the shop. So we do all that in order to gain productivity, in order to keep our price as low as possible. But on the other side of this, the use of this service does allow you to free up time from your day, allows you to not have to worry about the production of these types of items. That responsibility falls on Xerox, and we perform that within the confines of the DCS contract. So, and as we continue, through the value proposition here, we do have a high value we place on increasing visibility of the service. We do track and monitor status of mail through our workflow. As part of a new service that's coming out on 9/1, we will actually have what we call a client portal. So those folks who have access to ServiceNow will be able to go in and status where your job is at any point in time inside of our operation. So you'll be able to see whether your job has been received, whether it's in the print process, whether it's in the mail process, or whether it's gone out in the mail. And that information will be available through an automated system. It'll request data real time back and forth, or near real time back and forth, so that you'll be able to see through the ServiceNow portal where your job is. So we believe that that's going to be something that agencies will like to take advantage of. In tighter accountability, again, we have end-to-end custody through our entire processing chain, so we're able to tell you where your mail pieces are at any point in time in our mail delivery or digital items, where are they through the process. So the standard services we offer, as we've talked about, is the print management piece. We also do address cleansing. So if you have address files that you would like to run through our software program to determine whether they're acceptable for postal standards, we do that. We do letter composition for a number of agencies, including child support, which we'll talk through a little bit later. We've talked about courier service and disaster recovery. Other services we offer: manual insertion. Unfortunately, we can't automate everything, so we do have individuals who do insert letters manually. It is a more expensive service, but it's because it's far less productive than our automated machines. We deliver PDFs, as we've talked about. Fast Forward is a service that allows you to do national change of address compliance without having to do anything to your address files. We simply invoke that on the mail sorting equipment, and it allows us to forward to the Postal Service's change of address location. A lot of agencies use this to ensure that, A, they're NCOA compliant so that they're able to continue to get pre-sort discounts, but it also allows them to leave the data in their database alone as it sits, because that's the official address of record. But because this is a USPS change of address, we're able to spray it on the outside of the envelope and do that forward of the mail to the new address without having to affect what's in the agency databases. And again, we do procurement of envelopes and forms. Next slide, please. So I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive, if you will, on the two different variations of digital documents that we produce. There's been some questions about differentiation, and I want to go through that real quickly. I know I only have a few more minutes here, but I think it's an important designation. So digital document delivery is a service that's in the current agreement and will be carried forward to the new agreement. There are two resource units for this that we have. One is image delivery same day, image delivery next day. Those resource units are being carried forward to the new contract. And so we charge on a per image basis for images that we take from an agency, we convert to PDF, we index to the specification of the agency, and then we push that into a customer managed repository. So as I mentioned earlier, the two existing customers we have are TWC and OAGCS, and we're delivering 2 million images per month into those repositories. with the understanding that we did 20 million in April for COVID volume. So the volumes went through the roof, and we had to scale our service very quickly to be able to support that. So let me stop, Carrie. Were there some questions that are coming in?
There are 2 questions. So first question is, do you have the ability to print tax forms for student loans?
We do print tax forms, and we do W-2s. We do 1099s for a number of DCS customers. We have the ability to do them on our laser printers, and we do the flash forms. So we can certainly do those. If they're carbonized forms that you need to have done, we do have the ability to do that as well, but that's much more expensive from a form perspective. But yeah, we're very capable of handling any kind of tax form.
Excellent, thank you. And our next question is, for print to mail, can I customize the print process down to the, sorry, something just popped up right over the question, down to the paper size and type, such as certificates that would be posted in places of business that are for regulations or licensing?
The answer to that question is most likely yes. We do have certain size limitations that we cannot, we can't go to sizes that are too small. For example, the automobile titles we produce are 7.5 inches across. That's getting very close to the smallest size that we can run through our printer. We could print multiple up and then do cutting of them. We have that kind of capability. So we've got a number of different options for being able to get things to the size you need. And then on the mail inserting side, we have the ability to insert those as long as they meet the specifications of the automated equipment we have. Otherwise, it has to go to a manual operation, which is, again, much more expensive. So the answer is we've got a lot of flexibility. We do certificates today. We do the liquor licenses and other types of certificates. We do the automobile titles. We do the window stickers for DMV. So we've got a lot of flexibility in the operation that we have at the ADC. TABC is one of our clients, who does the liquor licenses and such.
All right, thanks, John. No follow-up questions as of yet. I'll let you know.
Okay, and you want to go to the next one? Okay, the next offering, this is brand new. This is the one I described earlier, and it's an integration between ServiceNow, Xerox's DocuShare, and Nearstar Data Server. So ServiceNow is the entry point into this new system, which will allow us to place digital documents that are sent to the Nearstar system into the Xerox DocuShare system for agency users to access. So if I'm a person in a business unit at an agency and I have a document that today gets printed and delivered to me, this is an excellent opportunity for that document to be transitioned to a digital format, received. If it can be viewed online, if you only need to see a few pages, you can print those few pages on a local printer, or you can print out the entire job, or you can take pages of it and do other things such as bring them into other workflows. So this is a system that we're bringing on as of 9/1, and its primary goal is to displace the requirement to have to do courier delivery, because we've heard from our customers that courier delivery of jobs is expensive and is something that they would like to see go away. So this is our system to allow that to take place. So basically what we're doing here is we're taking legacy print files, we're converting them to PDF, we're applying the necessary metadata in order to know which collection, and a collection is a repository, that these particular documents need to go in so that only those people that are authorized to view them can view them. And then they get pushed from Nearstar to this DocuShare system via an API that DocuShare has. So that's the method of getting the workload in there. The user, again, logs in through ServiceNow and goes directly to their collection, can see the items that are there waiting for them. Items that are there that are new will have the word new next to them. Very similar to what you would see if you've ever used SharePoint or any of that system like that. So
John, sorry to jump in. I just got a question sent to me that fits in right there, which is through that DocuShare API, can it go as far as identifying a folder in their local repository, or can they define folders in that repository? Do you know much about how that part works?
Yeah, so when we set up a new user, and there are two resource units that are associated with this. One of them is a per user license, which is billed monthly, and the second one is a DocuShare job setup. So for these jobs that we need to get the metadata applied to and converted to PDF, we will work with you to identify which collection that needs to go into. And if you will, a collection is like a sub-file folder. So we will put those into the location that works for you, and then you will have access to get to those documents, and that will all be set up through these two requests that are available to you through the MSI service catalog, or will be on 9.1. Let me be very clear on that. They'll be rolling out on 9.1. So as we set the jobs up, as we set the users up, then we can determine which file structure we're going to put those into in order to be able to make it fit your requirements. So we do customize the system as much as possible to the end user's requirement, but the key is we do want to make sure that the viewing of those files is limited only to those authorized people to see them. So that's the key to the system, is that we do provide that security necessary to ensure that the viewing is limited.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next slide. And this slide really is just intended to say that DocuShare is a usable system. It's tailored toward toward end user use. It's set up to be simple. There's a little graphic to the right of the file structure of a predetermined, if you will, or a setup of the file structure for demonstration purposes. But Gartner has looked at this and determines that it's easy content management. So the usability of it is what's been a big selling point for this for us. And again, it's flexible, and there are a lot of capabilities that DocuShare brings. So the key to it is when we put these licenses in, all the features of DocuShare become available to the user. There is no limitation on what features are available in the licenses. Secondarily, the two resource units I described just prior, the license and the per job setup is a one-time fee. There is no incremental fee for size of images placed. So you have the ability to move as much volume into the DocuShare repositories as those jobs would produce that we've set up and brought in, or you can scan from multifunctional devices in. So you've got the ability to use this as a document management system for those documents that are coming through the ADC print management system, but as well as documents that you might be able to import from a multifunctional device as a scan, or any other type of digital mechanism that you want to use to get those into the DocuShare site. Next slide. I'm going real long here, so I'll try to finish this up. So these are some of the frequently asked questions that we've received on particularly the DocuShare platform. So again, the digital platform that we just described will be available on 9.1 in the service catalog. Normal setup for a user is 5 business days, and then the job setup, we have a 10 business day SLA for that. So that kind of gives you an idea how long after 9.1 that we'll be able to ramp that up as far as actually having jobs going into the system. From a involvement of customer developers, there really is very little. If it's a job that's currently being sent to the ADC, there really is no involvement required. We can take that job, we can index it, we can do the things we need to do without having an agency or customer programmer involved. If it's a new job, we then have to set up the requirement to get the job to the ADC and to understand the characteristics of the job in order to be able to get it into our workflows. Next slide. And this is just a high-level view of what it really looks like from a schematic perspective. You've got, again, the jobs flowing in from customer systems like mainframes and servers into Nearstar. That gets dumped into DocuShare. The end user then comes in through the MSI portal. The ServiceNow portal authenticates, and that single sign-on authentication is then provided to DocuShare so that we're able to authenticate that user to the system and verify that they're able to access the system and which collections they have authorization to view. So it's kind of a two sides to this equation. You've got data flowing in, you've got users coming in through another end of the system, but inside the system is where all the documents reside and that you would be viewing and having access to. Next slide. And again, it's accessible through the ServiceNow portal. So, basically what I understand is they're going to, under My Reports, there'll be another entry down here that will say Digital Document Repository or Digital Document System. And if you click on that, it'll bring you to the DocuShare system. Next slide, or is that the last one? That's the last one.
Thank you, John. I do have a question. You kind of ran through it really quick. Letter compositioning. That is a feature that I want you to expand a little bit upon, because when someone new or a new customer or a new job is being created, sometimes these customers believe they have to program all the syntax and the formatting to get the print to be exactly how they want it. How does Xerox help that out with letter compositioning?
Okay, well, a number of the agencies will send us print-ready files. So they'll come in either in PostScript, PDF, old school LCDS, and they're ready to go and ready to print. In other cases, we have agencies that have requirements for some form or flavor of composition, and two of them that we do that for example, is THECB and OAGCS. In the case of OAGCS, they send us a comma-delimited file that they produce on a nightly basis, and we receive that file, and we have 438 forms in our forms repository for child support. And when we receive that file, we go through line by line and do the composition, build the forms, and then we do all the processing to optimize it. So for example, every document that has the same external mailing envelope is put into the same bucket, so that when those jobs come out to go printing, all the ones that are together that have the same operating characteristics through our factory. So we receive those things. We work with the agency to determine the look and feel. We then take it, do the marriage of the template and the data, and then we optimize on the back end. So in the case of child support, they had WordPerfect or now Microsoft Word templates for all their forms that we then ingested into our system, and we use a composition engine to produce all that. So it's a service that is used by a few agencies. Most agencies have their letter writing systems as a standalone and send us already composed documents, but in the event that we need to, we have that tool in the toolbox.
Great, thank you.
And Neil, before we go on, I did just get one question that sent to me, which is a really interesting question, which is how long will the documents remain there in that repository? Is there a time limit before they are archived? And then what would happen if Xerox was not on the next contract?
Let me back up. We haven't established a time frame. We don't intend to put a time limitation on that. We will allow the agency to determine how long or the customer how long they want to keep the documents in the repository. So that's something that's driven by customer requirement, not by our end. And as far as what happens in the next contract, we just signed, so we got 8 years to go. But as far as that is concerned, the data that's in there is owned by the state, and there are extensive provisions inside of the contract that we have with DIR regarding termination assistance and retention of systems, and so there are significant contractual protections for DIR for data that's in those systems and the systems themselves. So there is a transition plan already documented in the contract, even 8 years away from our contract being finished.
Excellent, and that answered all the questions that I have for now.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Great job. I want to introduce you to Roman Villarreal. Roman, could you tell us a little bit about how print mail is served OEGCS? Not hearing you yet.
Roman, if you can hear us, you are still on mute. Sometimes that WebEx mute and unmute button is a little confusing.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Sorry about the delay, guys. So how does child support use print mail services? Child support uses print mail services through the data center services contractor with Xerox. Thank you, John, for all of that information. As John had already indicated, our forms, we originate those throughout all the child support offices that get sent over at night and from the SCU. Currently, child support sends over approximately 1.5 documents each month for Xerox to process, print, and mail for us. This includes warrants, applications, requests for information, notifications, supporting documentation, and pretty much any other mail related to collecting and enforcing our child support. And like I said, the mail originates not just from here in Austin, but all over the state. Xerox then transports and mails these documents either as permit mail or metered mail using postage there at its location through Brittany Bowes, that we've already covered. We've created a production schedule with Xerox for our larger batches, and we know exactly when we're going to send them a huge amount of data. We try to communicate with them to keep them informed that if there is anything on our end that's going to change try to give them a heads up, and they let us know as well if there's anything on their part that we might see a delay. So communication, we over-communicate, and that's a really good thing with Xerox. As far as the forms go, like we just mentioned, we have a lot of forms. Child support has a few hundred forms, and every now and then, from time to time, we need to change all of the forms, and we need to change some of the forms. So one of the biggest recent changes that we had to make was the general seal. And the general needed to change the seal for whatever that reason was, and we worked with Xerox, worked with John and his team, his production team, to get that on every single letter. We have something called the Golden Child that they sent over to us, an electronic Golden Child, and this is all of the forms that they would create for us and mail out, and we had to go through those one by one to make sure that everything worked out. They're very quick. Xerox is very quick to our forms changes and getting the indexes done to address our issues. During COVID, we just had quite a few forms that needed to be revamped because of the wording has come to a location where nobody is able to go to a location. So we had to change multiple forms, and Xerox was very quick to respond to the need during this time. They've made monitoring very easy with daily reports to me. As far as data that we've sent over to them, I have that on my end. I can easily match it up to the data that they sent out or the envelopes and mail that they sent out for us. I use those dailies so that I can validate our monthly invoices along with our envelope purchases. Envelopes procurement is set for child support's needs. Xerox will always communicate our daily use, and we can forecast the need, and we have a predetermined amount of stock that we need to have on hand. And whenever we start to approach that threshold, Xerox will go ahead and implement a procurement for those types of envelopes. And there are various types of envelopes that child support uses because of personal protection. We have windows, can't have windows on certain envelopes, depending upon what letters we're sending out. Also, Xerox is instrumental in, because child support needs to be IRS Plus 1075 compliant. IRS, Xerox is there during child support's IRS audit, and they help us address any issues and help with the remediation after the audit is complete. Our disaster recovery plan is taking place every year with the folks up at CAP and Xerox, and that runs smoothly. I am looking forward to new offerings that the new contract is going to bring September 1, and I'm going to try to see what we can capitalize on to see that we can get any cost savings for the state for child support. But that is my experience with Xerox. John, thank you for taking that time to explain everything. Guys, thank you for inviting me to come and speak with my experience with Xerox. They are very responsive and very professional, and I'm glad to have them a partner on this print mail services.
Roman, really appreciate your time and especially sharing your customer experience. It's one thing to hear from John representing Xerox, but to hear it from a customer with such a heavy volume and reliance on the print mail business and your activities at Child Support Division. Really appreciate your time and offerings. If there aren't any other questions for John and Roman, we'll move into how to access more information and requesting that information. So let's go to the first slide here. Yeah, I've already pasted this URL into the chat. So if you can't really reach out there to the presentation, but please take a look at that external portal. The external portal is for everybody, whether you have login credentials to the internal portal or not. Everyone can access the external portal. From that external portal, you'll see the home page at the bottom, which is just kind of graphically there. Now, if you do have login credentials to the internal portal, please use those and request print mail services or any other service offering using your login credentials with the service catalog. But even if your organization is using some shared technology services, but you as a listener do not yet have your login credentials, please access this external portal, because once you click on any of these windows here on the next slide, you'll see the list of service offerings. In this one, Data Center Services, one of the options is print mail, and that's one we're describing today. And when you click on that again, it's kind of a drill down level details of what print mail is all about. In fact, there's even some pricing information in there. If you are interested in hearing from John and making a connection and requesting this, go to the next slide, please, Carrie. You fill out that box, and that information will take you to a ticket to our Salesforce system, and it'll be relayed over to Xerox, probably to Alan Holland, John, perhaps Ann, and they'll be able to reach out to you. If there's anything specific that you want, put it there in that little green box where it says additional offering details. All right, but just your contact information, and then you submit that. Now, if you're not yet a customer, the next slide will show you what the contractual structure is made up. There's an interagency agreement and an interlocal agreement. If you're a state agency, it's IAC. If you're not a state agency, it's ILC. That's the level one. That basically makes you a partner, develops a agreement with the Department of Information Resources, and you become a DIR customer. And all of this information is on that eligibility page of the external portal. The next level is the terms and conditions, and that will be for the print mail and data center services. And then the final is the actual solution where you get a proposal, the design, the cost estimate, and only after you approve that level 3, that solution, is there going to be any obligation of payments or anything like that. Okay? But it's important that as you're initiating this, if you haven't already built a relationship with DIR, that you start with the level 1 contract. Now, the last thing I want to show you is what to look forward to in our next webinars here in the next few months. You can see print mail is today, and we've had a few here of in 2020 on managed security services and open data portal just recently. In August, we're kind of taking a break. It's usually a big annual conference. This year it is virtual, but there will not be a webinar or any marketing emails related to outreach and growth in the month of August. There's going to be a lot of information, though, for the next generation and transition that we have starting 9/1. So in September, the Outreach and Growth Program is going to have supporting that with the Next Gen Data Center Services. In October, we will hear from Deloitte talking about the new Technology Solution Services. November, Rackspace, so we'll be talking about public cloud. And in December, Atos will cover private cloud. And that'll wrap us up for the year 2020. Carrie, what can everyone do about subscribers?
Right. So Neil already talked about these service offerings, but the way that you get invited to these webinars is by being subscribed to our mailing list. You may have received our mailing list as part of our outreach campaigns, but if you'd like to receive the invitation to the webinars, you do need to take one extra step to subscribe to that mailing list. Once you subscribe, you'll get the Outlook calendar invitation, and you will continue to receive those marketing emails. And we will let you know as we roll out new services and are preparing to tell you about them.
Well, Carrie, if we don't have any other questions, I definitely want to thank John Heatley from Xerox, Roman Villarreal from OAGCS, and naturally our ever-present and gracious host, Carrie Davey.
That's me. I don't see any additional questions. I know I was pinging with a couple of you privately, so I will follow up with a few of you. And I appreciate John being here with us today. And thanks, Neil.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.